Hello to you all, and thanks for joining us for a series of discussions called New Life with Rav Leitman. Hello, Rav Leitman. Hello, Nitza Mazoz. And we here in this series of discussion are trying to learn from the Rav Leitman how we can build in the connections with the people that are around us and surround us, that are around us at home and at work, how we can build a good life, a good new life. We understand already that the source and the root of all these good and bad things that we suffer from and which we feel all sorts of distresses in life is our connections with people, and we want to upgrade those. And our focus at this point of the discussions is the relationships within a couple, and we define that as a sort of a home laboratory where we can find out how we can upgrade ourselves to upgrade our relationships towards the others and to get a new perception. And when we do this between the couple, it also gives us a new connection, which gives us a new light in life. And this is our topic in the last few discussions. And today, Nitza, if you could focus us where we're traveling in this discussion. So today we're going for a trip with couples that are starting from the point of zero and are starting to implement and the method. These couples come from all sorts of backgrounds. They're all married. Several are freshly married. Several are 30 or 40 years married. Several have kids. Several don't. Some of them are in a crisis, and some just because they want to improve their relationship. And we're starting from point zero, and they're entering in our imagination as if there's some new theme park. In the entrance, there's a map, and it says, "You're here." And in the end, you'll reach some point there. On the way, you'll go through many different states and stations. All sorts of things will happen to you along the way. We would like to hear from you. What will happen to them throughout the path for those couples that are entering from point zero and are coming to the point of connection? First of all, we need to understand that relationship as a couple is actually the source of all connection between humans and of all of humanity. The whole, because let's say Adam and Eve is like the prototype, uh, and they're the whole foundation of humanity. And if we, from this foundation, will start to look at correcting, then we'll reach the final correction of all of humanity, which is not just to correct some, life in a family in this or that family. Therefore, here, if we understand this method, how a couple corrects themselves, then we'll understand how the whole world corrects itself. Although these are financial problems, many cultures and education, and but in the end, it also starts there from the relationship between a couple, and that's where it also ends. And therefore, really, the topic that you chose is the most fundamental topic, and from it, we will be able to draw lines to anything. That's on one hand. On the other hand, we have to also understand that the crisis that, although it's a financial crisis, psychological, financial, in culture, in education, it also stems from that same crisis in the family, which maybe appears very distant, but the ego, which enters standing between this and him and her, the couple, projects itself and develops itself towards all other problems. Therefore, this is a very fundamental and most important thing. The question, of course, is asked, well, how was it before? First, we're talking about the fact that the ego was not that developed, and there was a very strong opinion of the public, how it was not to get married, how it was to get divorced, how it was to not care for your family. Also, people understood that alone it's not easy. And today it's the opposite, maybe. It could be that maybe alone is much easier to get along, even without a mother or without a father, for the children, with social support from the society and for everything. And the main thing is that our ego that can't suffer, that can't stand, that someone's pressing it, and he must consider him. Therefore, we have to first answer the question, why is it worthwhile? Why is it worthwhile? Not why is it worthwhile to get married, let's say. Let's say they're already married, which is, even though it's still a problem, and we have to answer it. But if yes, and maybe children aren't they don't have yet, then what obligates them? And also with children, what obligation there is, our existence, our commitment towards the children. And therefore, here we need to develop a real public opinion, first of all, that cannot remain the way it is now. Rather, only if the environment will encourage a life with good and nice relationship, they will have the strength to continue and to build the right family. This is on one hand, although we may be able to draw to them a nice and good life, but the work on this mutual work on the ego is not simple. It is very much connected to the environment. And with the environment, they have to develop to this in a good connection, in the right connection. And therefore, we can't isolate one of the partners and take them to some island and say, oh, that's where they'll live better. They'll probably devour each other if they on an island, and more than they'll do it in a big city. So first of all, it's preparation of the environment. Maybe a few more couples that are closer to that couple that we're talking about. Which from the beginning we have to take a group, let's say 3, 4, 5 couples at least, and to start working with them. And we always work from a few couples, let's say 5 couples, on one couple, so that each feels that way towards the others, that they're supportive, that they're awakening, that they are doing discussions there, they're explaining to each other, they're calming each other down without, all in all, such a atmosphere that we're going towards the correction of our life, and so it will be acceptable to them. And even before we start with them, we need to discern with them how close they are together to each other, how committed they are to each other. They have to be friends in life. They have to know each other. It can't be just like some incidental thing that they maybe gathered to some group, even though that can also happen. But it's better if it'll be with support from the environment, from the people who are closer or more distant acquaintances, their colleagues from work, and so forth. As much as there is a wider support from the society, it's more beneficial to a person that's certain and that influences him more powerfully than anything else. And this means, other than the environment, that we have to draw the nice future. What are we going for? Because we're talking about humans who are egoists, and What do they gain from being together? If they're like a couple of dolls, then there's no problem. But we're talking about people who are already in some sort of question. What for and why? And is it worthwhile? And how much is it worth my nerves? And how much of a waste of time is it? And maybe even maybe if it's not beneficial even financially, and more and more. So we need here to draw anyhow the good state. What's the benefit? The benefit can be financial. The benefit can be in health. If there are children, then certainly we have to here develop the importance of the children. We have to develop the support system. If we're talking with the couples, with couples that have already experience in life, just like I talk with couples that are in my age, and they're people who know the weaknesses of each other, the habits of each other, and are already used to it, to the point where even the small troubles from each creating to the other, even that they even lack that. They even are deficient to that. It became like a sweetening of the hard thing times, and it's something also good for the connection. So if there's a little bit of a, they say if you don't have a little bit of roughness along the way or some, then we're missing, and it becomes a habit, or which becomes a second nature. And we see this with couples who have lived for a very long time. We see how hard it is if one of them passes away, how much especially men cannot, because they see in their wives, each and every one of them, part of their mother. There's a very big spiritual support here, which a woman gives to the man. A lot more than we're used to think, how dependent he is in her, than how much a woman is really dependent on the man. She's dependent on him maybe more financially, whereas the man is dependent more emotionally or spiritually in the women. Like a small child, he accepts loss of his partner very hardly, as like a child. And we see this with couples who have lived for 30, 40, 50 years together. This is a very big problem for them to feel this tragic state. And it continues to be tragic. And furthermore, with young couples, they have still years of marriage, and that's what they have to do. And here's the problem. And it depends, of course, on the preparation and education. And here we need to develop the understanding of how much they depend mutually on each other, which they don't feel. And here in these workshops between them, in the talks, we need to develop specifically this emotional side. So they will talk, several couples together, about how much they are used to this, how difficult it is for them, even how to, without the presentation of the problems of the others, the others is doing for him. For this support, even this negative support gives certain boundaries, a framework for the family life, so that then each knows, I live in a family, I pay for this and that, but without me even feeling the negative side or the positive side, without this, I supposedly disappear. I'm in some vacuum, the free air that is not good for me. And we need to develop that feeling in them more. And then they will understand that a person truly is not capable of being alone, and that a family life gives the person such emotions and feelings from this framework, from the existence, from the commitment and obligation that they need me as much as I need, that it stabilizes him in life such that he feels the I, that there's some foundation, some cell which is mine. And therefore, we need here the work of a psychologist with the support of the couples. He develops the influence from all the couples that are in this workshop. This way, in treating each and every one, and to develop in each and every one a need in this family framework, both positive and negative, that one cannot exist without the other. The fact that a person thinks that he can only be in the nice and good relationships, we're not built that way ourselves. That we're built in one way without finding that framework. The framework is always built from both types of connections, and negative no less, even more important than the positive, as if it is positive. Um, because we see that also on ourselves, we exist like in a good and relationship, and there's really a good attitude between us and all that. We need to add a little salt, a little spice, a little pepper. Otherwise, the feeling of the connection is not whole. And here we need to free them from many illusions that you can only be in love and in happiness. It can't be. Love will cover all transgressions. There can't be happiness unless there's something in its foundation, from salty, from bitter, from stinging. Otherwise, in music, in painting, in art, in anything that we do, there must be we exist from two forces. So first of all, to bring to them a little more mature perception of who we are and how we can exist. And then from the understanding, more serious and mature understanding that we have to combine these two forces together, and that perfection exists between them in the middle line, then we have to learn how we combine these two lines, this right and left, together, that one cannot exist without the other. And there must be between them the right merging. You can't have happiness without sorrow, and we need it too, and so forth. If everything is white or pink, it's not, even with us, we don't receive in our eyes and our hearing in any sense. We always dance between these two extremes. And if we are aware of this and we repeat this exercise over and over, then all in all, what we're teaching them is how to be in the proper merging between these two sides. That life is always between this and that. And this is normal. And we can't feel otherwise life. Now the question comes, as much as we know each other, weaknesses, and demands, boundaries, as much as we can play and touch each other, especially in order to feel ourselves together, we need to enter the other a little and not to the point where you harm, but to the point of touching. And here there is a real deceit, almost. Now the question: what for does a person need this? He needs to find in this a certain challenge, some creation, I would say. It's almost like a, a melody, a composition, an artwork. It's like he is stabilizing himself in the space, in the big space and world, in the world, as a creature, a cell from which he can continue to live. Not only live, but construct himself and be built for the proper design with one with the other, with the help of the other, before the other, gives him from this situation that they stabilize uh, a good, stable attitude towards life. Meaning, by doing so, I build myself and exit the cell towards the world. This means, especially, specifically, by with my partner, I stabilize myself, and now when I go out to a wider connection with the world, with the environment, with work, and every single thing, in which, in the same way that I build myself with my partner, that same relationship must be between me and every single person in the world. Of course, there the relationships are a little bit different. The benefits and the losses are different. How much to enter the other or touch with others. But the fact that I learned how to do it in the family, this gives me now a whole a whole teaching of how to relate to people in the world or certain bodies of theirs. I also understand them and also feel myself more secure. I start playing with them in that same tango like I am in the family. In the family. I already have the tools that are built for this. And this is truly like a person who knows that in a certain form how to play within the family, this melody with the ups and the downs, which is a melody. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a melody. It's clear. But he also is capable of doing it in life. And therefore, in many cases, we can start, especially from the external problems. What is happening with you at work? How are you getting along with the foreign, with the strangers? How about with your parents? How do you get along? Even here in society, do you know how to find a common language? And if not, let's learn this, especially within your relationship with your couples, as a couple, and you'll be able to move on words, and you'll see how beneficial, successful this will be. This can actually be one of the stimulants, the benefits that one will agree for it. We also need to explain these couples that if a person doesn't know how to arrange himself within his home, well, if not a special person that deals with, I don't know, something there, some specific scientist or artist that is dealing with creation, especially. It could be that he's in some space of his own. Usually, then his partner suffers. It could be both for men or women. I see this in my family. My wife suffers on one hand. On the other hand, my daughter is also like that. That's all the time in her own picture in biology, and the same thing with her partner. And it's truly, it's not a secret that I say it. Each and every one, we see how, in which direction there's a little bit of a weight going this way, tending to go this way or that way. But it's okay. We have to just understand that it's happening. But usually we have to understand and explain to them that a person which doesn't know how to arrange himself in the family will certainly not be able to arrange himself in the connection with foreign people also, with strangers. And this has to do with people who are in the public service, all sorts of salespeople, organizers. We can immediately see that he will maybe succeed for a short time, he may succeed for a short time, but his success will be not from succeeding to arrange a good relationship with people, rather from pressure on people, intimidation and all sorts of, not with both reins, like he should be working with them, like the way he should be working with his partner. Therefore, we need to constantly emphasize that the fact that we're building ourselves correctly and know this art of how to get along with our partner, we're actually acquiring the reins towards managing all our relationships with every society at work and our acquaintances and our family and with the whole world. And then this way we know, and at that degree we know how to arrange and turn around and manage our relationships until the largest society. And it can't be any other way. Because this is how we're built. It comes from Adam and Eve, and till the big society, which has developed from them supposedly in an allegorical way. This is how it happens. Now, from here we understand already what sort of workshops we need to do between these couples. First of all, to understand the weaknesses, to summarize them, to discern them, scrutinize them, arrange them both personally, clearly, and opened, in an objective and subjective way. Objective, which is the types of people, their attributes, their properties, their qualities. Well, let's say I never use this word like their fortune, or their sign, on the their astrological sign, which are different types of behavior. We need to take examples from their parents, because certainly, just like they saw it at home, they are also taking it along their whole life. And to talk about that. To talk a lot. And through this, to make sure that every single one, it'll be clear, the image of the other, in a way that each of them is capable of holding correctly inside. So not just I get angry or I love this or hate that, but in an objective way to see the image of the other and how we, who are these images, enter a mutual connection and a mutual understanding. The connection is always what's emphasized in one is shallow in the other, and as much as I and my partner know where each is for the other, needs to concede and order for this, because connection cannot be without this mutual concession, and that I understand very well and how not well we can touch every single thing. And then we're in a certain dance here, a true dance, that we don't want to leave each other, like in a tango, let's say. But with that, we are in this mutual dance, and specifically these movements give us this feeling of together and one. After we go through these such workshops with the weaknesses, problems. Weaknesses could be something that one can give up. Problems that not every person can give up for the other. It's too much for him. The mutual dependency that we need to develop. Yes, with children it's much easier. Then we need to join them too. And the relatives and acquaintances, friends, all these things that we develop, we need in each workshop to take out a certain summary and to give them like homework to do now something that is similar and to change the relationships with the acquaintances, with the at work and with their neighbors, when they're in the supermarket when we enter, every single thing. When I meet with people there, even for one moment, how I turn myself and how I also by doing so turn him in a way that we are in a friendship, in inclusion, in a certain connection. It could be momentarily, emotionally, even for half a minute. Through this, we already come to the chain of society, in which, in the near time, this way, each of us plays this game. When they bring us, let's say those 5 couples, they bring us examples from the change in the relationships that with work and with their neighbors and so forth. Then we too do exercises with all their problems or their questions. So we do discussions about this too in workshops. In this way we advance. The main thing is that constantly a person does not return to his superficial observation, which is like, oh, that's it, that's how I am, and that's it. In which he constantly looks from this new formula, this new at his relationship, at his friends, and his life, and the world. And we need to constantly develop this importance and this personal and general benefit. And this is actually the path. The goal is to bring a person to the feeling that he can be connected in a very beneficial way, creative, with the whole environment which will happen, even with all the world, even with the whole world, in which he truly feels the world before him like his partner. And then, because all in all, we see that it's the same egoistic form, more or less, that the whole world is the image of one person. And this way, I also start to see in it the weaknesses, the problems, as much as I can touch it, as much as I can enter it, and how much not, and then, and so forth. And this way, I also stabilize within me a philosophical observation, the correct philosophical observation towards the world, in which I just don't get mad for no reason, and I don't blame just like that. But I understand that this is nature, and these are the weaknesses, and these are the nice phenomena, and something. And this way, I more correctly accept the world. From this, I, of course, can project and give this attitude towards the children. And through this, I also become more, not only more mature in understanding and feeling, but the environment also feels that I'm like this. And then it's also easier for them to relate to me because I understand them and feel them. Again, this is other than a few incidences that are unique, which is either in spiritual work or in very creative work, other creative work like artists and musicians and those that exist all the time in a very unique development, personal development. For them, we need to arrange an additional support of the environment so that they will be able to dance their tango with also with their partners and also the wider environment. Well, and more from here, it is clear how if we could here be able to arrange a person this way so that from his partnership, from his relationship, he has to accept the whole world, and he will project this attitude of his, this more mature, rational, balanced attitude towards others, the influence will be good. Yes. If we were to depict this, draw this, you described a path and a stations, and it's a certain dipole, a plus and a minus, which is Adam and Eve, which anyhow stabilize their boundaries, their borders, as much as is possible for them to be in a mutual contact, to touch each other or not. Here there is black, and on its face we have, let's say, red, in which you can't have one without the other. In each of them I can also draw also a plus and a minus, and black and then red, let's say. And if that, then there's already a small formula here of this. And in this way, if each of them knows how to get along, then he already feels the other, and already this cell exists in each of them. This means that already here they exit a state in which each of them includes with it also the other, plus and minus, minus plus, let's say. Meaning each of them already knows how to connect to the world, to the large, wide world. Truly, really, that each of them feels what's plus and minus in the world, and both these people who learned how to get along with each other are truly parts or unique and necessary parts for the world. And this is the whole world can behave like this, like a good psychologist. They can start by doing this to stabilize besides them in circles like this, more and more wider, to stabilize next to them the environment, which will start towards them at least to relate this way. For this is not, these are not manipulations. That's a kind of a dirty, a rough word here to say use, but each of us arranges his environment in his subconscious for himself. But they're doing this in a conscious way, and the more couples that we have that we stabilize correctly, then we can truly cause such an attitude and to understand a certain understanding. It's actually education here, the proper education for this for the environment, in which if people will then feel that they're lacking a partner because they will have a certain inner emptiness from as a response, as a feedback from the fact that the environment will be such that it is included from the use of the positive and negative forces together, that each will feel that this personally lacks it. He lacks this for himself. In every place, we see the influence of the environment, in which if there is in the environment certain more balanced forces than I do, then it influences me, and I feel a need in this. And then I immediately search for where I can be in certain balance, like in the environment, in order to be balanced with them. So through this, we can truly solve the problem of relationships, not only relationships, but bachelorhood. I want us to return to the first point that we imagined the entrance of these couples and the entrance where they enter. We talked about a theme park, the theme park of life, because I wanted to focus on this picture. I think you took us like a stage forward where the partnership has already been built, and then I'm already starting to build relationships outside of this relationship, which is a more advanced stage. I still want this first stage, these first steps. You gave certain points. You talked about, first of all, how as I enter, first thing I imagine the good state, where we want to go. Then you talked about certain boundaries. There must be a goal and a benefit. And then there was weaknesses, and how we slowly receive the image of the other, which we can call this to receive the other, to feel the other. And then you said from there that we're going to start examining the desires and demands, and then develop more what I'm capable and to concede to and what not. If this path could be described in a way that every person, because what happens to a couple? We know, like at any process in life, there's ups and there's downs, there's hard things, there's obstacles, there's all sorts of situations. When a person knows what's awaiting him around the corner, then he says, okay, I'm right now in this situation. I heard that on the general map, there's a certain corner that exists, there's a certain difficulty that I'm in it. I identify myself in it, and I know that in the next station something else awaits me. So if this map that a person goes through and all these processes, if you could make it as much as possible in a pictorial way or some way that'll be as realistic as possible, so it'll be as clear as possible, so any person will be able to know what path he's about to go through. I don't think I think we don't need to prepare a person to go through these paths. Rather, we need to give him the strength and mind and feeling developed to the degree that he doesn't have to go through them. He will play them right now instead of going through them truly in life, in which through this game he will be internally balanced and will be changed internally in such a way that he doesn't have to wait for what's coming around the corner. We're not preparing him for a battle. We're building in him from the beginning certain patterns and feelings and understandings so that what comes to him as a big tsunami wave comes to him in a calm and normal way, and it won't be felt that way at all. This is called the education. Education isn't in that we just give him knowledge, tidbits of knowledge. It has to do with reception, understanding, and such blocks that he doesn't go through. He goes through these things as some nice, melody that especially gives him the feeling of life. And therefore, it all depends on education, on these workshops that we want to put them through. But the goal of the purpose of these workshops is to build him so that he won't be afraid and he won't await the bad things, because all in all, we're working before our couple, and they're here before us, and also the other several couples that are besides them. And all in all, we are in the process of building the family cell, and it's all in our hands. We need to discover and be built already from all the states that are coming later as desirable, and not feel them as some problem that fell on us. I want to ask in a little different way. So that person or a couple will reach to this strength in which if a tsunami comes this way, he'll receive it in a understanding and thing. He won't feel a tsunami. So you can describe this as the understanding of the process. And they come to us and we start educating them, and our goal is to bring them to such a perception of life and of the connection and the states that'll come between them that will enable them to deal with life like they should. Correct? Yes. This you put as a goal that you want to reach through the educational process, that you'll put them through this process. Yes. But I'm saying yes twice now, and I am not so whole with it. Because first of all, this is not the goal. My goal is not to prepare them for blows. You understand? This perception is not good. What is good? I don't see in our workshops some process which I build from each and every one of them a good, strong, boxer. It's not at all. What I'm building in them is the understanding and the feeling and the perception, the philosophy of life, such that all in all, I change their qualities, their attributes, their perception of life in such a way that they won't feel whatever comes. They will be not just ready for it. They won't feel that this is something out of the ordinary. It is something that they're not capable of dealing with. That this is something that can break up the family. I don't have words right now, but if we're talking about all sorts of waves that can come and to tear up the family, break up the family, this is actually the whole problem. Then we need here to within these workshops of ours to do all sorts of exercises to get them accustomed to all sorts of external forms that truly they can summarize for them the mutual existence. And when this danger arrives, then we discuss them and we talk about it and we see how serious or not there it is and what the rewards and the benefits and the losses are. And all this comes from exercise. I have another question. You said before homework. Said that after a workshop we have to take them out towards workshop, homework. So this way they will develop their attitude towards other relationships. Just like I learned how to do it with my partner, now I'm learning how also this way to see, can I relate this way to my society at work, to my friends, to talk this way, to understand them in this way, just like it is my partner. Okay, this is very interesting. Can you describe to me a real concrete exercise that will implement this? Let's say today we finish, we're a couple that learned this. Now, sorry. This is your goal, because as our educator, to take us out this way, and we're about to end, and we're going to take this concrete exercise, I write it down, and I will try to do it, so it will bring me to these things that you described. First of all, for this, I need to draw for myself the image of the environment towards who I am about to enter this touch, this contact, this more internal, successful closer contact. I need to understand this environment, at least externally in some way. What's its properties? Just like with my couple, in which I need to know. Just like with my couple, I need to know what she like, what she doesn't, what does she see in me this way, and what does she see in me that way. Like from all the corners, both are mine and hers. This way I need to do also towards the environment, more or less. And then what I know and what I don't know, then I can already go and feel. I can't just like that go out and this is the building of a relationship. But this is, once again, me towards this new tool, new woman, which is the big society of, let's say, of 100 people. Yeah, but can you describe for us this is a few people. For I'm exiting here now. No, you're going out here. You're not ready for this. You need in the workshops here, first of all, to understand, to bring to us the image of your society. So maybe this could be our first exercise. You said that I need to develop this, from a person to go out to the world. So I'm saying, okay, now give me something here. I'm flowing here with you on process. So I guess here we need to make a certain questionnaire, more or less suitable to every society. Closer, distant, more distant, friends at work. In which, with this questionnaire, we also understand. We see them, we don't see them, we look at them, and maybe don't see. We hear and listen, but don't hear. It will also, first of all, give us a certain stimulus to recognize where I am. Maybe I come to work and I don't do any calculations with anyone. It's like I don't even look at anyone. I just, how are you? That's it. This, first of all, awakens in me the beginning of being. Uh, this means I am as a student need to fill out this questionnaire. I'll fill out this form with my interactions wherever I am. Let's say at work for this point. What will the questions be? What will be the first question? The number of people, men, women, couples, or bachelors, young, more adult. What who sticks out the most, both in good or bad, but in control and in weakness, like in a normal person. The same thing. You're relating to this society of 100 people. It doesn't matter. You're relating it as one block, as one square. What does this square have? And you need to know more or less. And then, in accordance to this, you're not talking about one person that you want with your lover to play now and dance before him. You want this way to enter the interaction with your environment, with the society at work. So you need to see this part of this environment environment as your partner for tango. I didn't understand that. What do I need to do? First step. First step is maybe for 1 month that you're learning the environment according to our questionnaire. I don't know them now. I know them for 5 years already. You could be there for 50 years and not look at them. Not look at them in the way that you don't want to enter an interaction with them, in a mutual connection with them, in understanding them so they'll understand you, so you will complete each other, so that they will need you, and even you, in a way, in somewhat, will need them. You'll want to connect to them in an emotional way, in an internal way, so they'll feel you, so that the image of this environment will be accepted as a desirable partner or even a necessary one. You need to develop in them this feeling. Through this, you will advance immediately. They will look at you as something new, even though you've been working there for 5 years. So what? You were never in such a connection with them. How are you? A cigarette there in the break, cup of coffee. That's it. If someone has some birthday, and that's it. And hello in the morning, goodbye in the night. Yeah, that's true. Now, how's this gonna be now? If you'll relate like that to your wife, will that be enough? No. Okay, great. So, how? Attention. And you need to start and see how to arrange them and to turn around with them, like in a dance. He does this in parallel to learning our course of relationships in that same stage. It's correct or not? Therefore, I said whoever doesn't succeed in relationship doesn't succeed in the society. Yeah, you can see this. It's the same thing at work as someone who doesn't get along with his wife. But it's clear that this is the same principle. There is no more than plus and minus. Only the larger or smaller scale. Last sentence. Our time has ended for this gathering. How do we summarize this all? The all in all, the general program is correcting the relationships within a small family to the big family, which is the whole world. Thank you very much, Rav Leitman. Thank you very much, Nita, and thank you too. We're going to continue. Be with us till then. All the best.